All right, so the new type challenge for Gundam is here, and we're gonna talk about how to take home top four today. All right, so like I said, we're gonna talk about taking down the new type challenge. I did actually end up getting second place at mine. Oh, we dropped a resource, but yes. So I wanted to share my list today and kind of talk about what personally has been working for me currently in the Gundam card game. So let's go ahead and let's get into the deck list here. We were playing Blue Red Ping at the event, and I played a card that I kind of consider a little risky. We'll talk about it when we get into it, but of course, let's go ahead and start off with our units. We are going to start off at our cheap drops. We are on 4 level 2 gun tanks, and we are on 4 level 2 Zaku Mariners. Now, obviously, we're playing Red Blue Ping. Gun Tank is one of the most iconic cards for the archetype. Come in, see a rest of the unit, shoot it. It's very good. Not only does this present damage on board, but this presents threatening shields when you do eventually break base and start swinging in for those. But this is a very nice piece to sort of help tempo you out to that point, as well as handle or finish off onboard threats. A lot of times I see in this game people are swinging owl strikes to trade with something -2ing, and it's living with 1 with the Kira link. And this guy and another card we're going to talk about in a little bit will help finish it off. I'm also on Zaku Mariner. For some of the riskier cards that I'm in here, I opted for the Mariner. GM is fine here, depending on your list as well, but I'm on Mariner for a reason. So these are our level 2 units. We'll go ahead, set them off to the side here, so we can talk about our level 3s. So for level 3s, I'm going to be on 3 Rays Out, just a vanilla, generically very good, very valuable. And we're going to be on 2 Gun Cannon. Now, Gun Cannon is really valuable because of the rest and the pair, and he has another link with one of our pilots in the list, who again we will get into when we're here. But he's just another early game body. He's got good stats and a good keyword in repair, so he can help sort of trade a little bit effectively. Repair 1 on its own isn't that crazy, but you can certainly sustain a little bit longer or make this card kind of a 2-for-1 because of it, which is really nice. So, a big fan on the gun tank, or the gun cannon, excuse me. And then Razel is just one of the best rated stat lines you can get out there. Level 3 2 cost for 4/3 is very strong, very good. So this guy, very valuable. Big fan of the Razel here. But that's our level 3s. Getting into level 4s, the list is starting to grow a little bit here. We are going to be on 3 of our other deploy pinger of the deck. We're going to be on 3 Unction. Same thing as Gun Tank, it's just a bigger body and a later level, but it comes in, chooses a rested unit, deals 1 damage to it. Phenomenal, phenomenal card. We are on Kshatriya, the vanilla one. We are on 3 of. And again, this is very heavily influenced by our pilot choice in the list. If we were not on the pilots we were on, I don't think I would be as big on this card comparatively. But because of the pilots we were on, I think there's a lot of value here in this card, which is why I'm on it. We're also going to be on 3 LR starter deck Gundams. This card is just insane. It links with one of the best pilots in the game. It has repair 2, and while this card is paired, you are antheming your entire board +1, which is very, very strong. I find more often than not, this card at any point in the game is either helping to control the board or trading into any problem card without hesitation, with the exception of a full HP Freedom Gundam or a Wing Gundam, 0 specifically. Those are the only 2 cards that I really run into that this guy can't handle immediately then and there. But outside of those, he is so strong. This guy is very good. So we are on those for our 4 drops. And the Kshatriyas I'm going to sort of elaborate on a little bit later when we get to our pilots. But for level 5s, we're only on one playset of the LR Kshatriya. This is an insanely good card. When you pair it with a new type or cyber new type, you get to choose 2 units on board and shoot them for 1. It is a level 5/4 cost, 5/4, and with its pilot, it becomes a 7/5. It's a very good stat line. You're presenting a lot of damage the turn this card comes out, and you're able to not only pressure board, pressure shields, pressure life, pressure bases. This card is very, very good. I really underrated this card when I started playing this game, and as time has gone on, I have only come on more and more to thinking this is one of the best LRs we currently have access to in GDO1. This card is absolutely bonkers. So Kshatriya, also kind of just like the namesake of the list, this is our pinger. This is our big drop pinger. So hugely important card. Getting into our level 6s, now this is where we'll kind of start to talk about some of our weirder choices. So we do have 2 Banshee mode, pretty standard for the list. It's another link with the Kshatriya pilot Marita Cruz, who this is just a very good closer. You can shuffle cards into your deck to give this card first strike, and you get to restand it, and it will be able to swing again. So you can, some games, be presenting up to 3 attacks a turn on this card, which is very crazy, very good. And then this is the card I personally considered a risk. We were on 3 Sinanju. Now Sinanju fits the ping archetype when he hits shields and destroys something in the shield base, or the shield area, excuse me. You can pick a unit on board, deal 2 damage to it. With pair, we're looking at high maneuver as well, so it's unblockable. When this card works, this card feels absolutely stellar. It sort of dominates if you can get it to function the way you want it to in the list. There definitely will be games where this guy is sort of a dead card, and I ran into a lot of those games where I'm not the biggest fan of him. If you can't drop him with a link, typically what's going to happen if you're going to try to present onboard threats for a following turn, I notice a lot of the time I will play this guy out, he will get rested and traded into pretty quickly. So at times he just kind of feels like a card you're either going to hold on to or play out and watch blow up, which isn't ideal. But I think he is very cool. I think there is a lot of merit to the card. And we are on 3 of them. So that is it for the units. We're going to start talking about our pilots here. And as expected, we're going to be on 4 Marita Cruz. This is the namesake pilot of the deck. During Link, when this unit swings, you can choose an enemy whose level is equal to or lower than this unit and ping it for 1. So when you link to the Kshatriya, you're presenting up to 3 damage worth of single target pings on board, which is very, very crazy. And then it is swinging for 7 damage as well. So the turn this thing comes in, it is presenting across a field 10 damage to a variety of things. So very strong, very potent Link currently in the game. We're going to be on 3 of another one of the best pilots in the game, Amuro Ray. Very strong pilot. He has that HP 5 or less. You can rest something down ability, turning some threats on board into manageable, attackable targets that you can take out right then and there. It's also nice for the sake of resting something down because then we activate all of our earlier pingers like the Gun Tank and the Anksha, and we have a unit we can swing into, rest it, and start dealing some serious damage to. And finally, we are on full frontal in 3, and that is our pilot breakdown. We are on the full frontals primarily because of the Sinanju, obviously, and the Sinanju choice led us to be a little heavier on Kshatriyas and the Zaku Mariners than I usually would be, because he can free deploy the Zaku Mariners and free deploy the Kshatriyas. So there are sometimes where if the game is long enough, you can have a Sinanju link present with these guys, and then you can free drop a vanilla Kshatriya that you can then link to a Marita. It's kind of magical Christmas land, but it was a situation that did come up in my matches. So it is relevant, it is something that can happen, and you got to play your outs in this game to the best of your ability. So definitely something you want to keep in mind when you're putting together these lists. Full frontal can help close out games, he can help control games. Overall, pretty strong, pretty solid pilot for your late game closer. And he did work well for me. Again, we did get second at the event, so I think he's got some merit to him. But that is our pilot list for Red Blue Pink. Getting into commands, we're only on 5. For level 2s, I'm on 2 close combat, and for level 3s, I'm on 3 siege points. So close combat, generic, just 2 damage to anything on board. You can burst into it, which is very helpful. Sometimes if you're going up against aggro matchups and they swing into you and you have one of these in your bases, it is pretty much an immediate, hey, I'm popping your aggro piece on board right now. Very nice. This card saved me in tons of matches, leading me to potentially want to test being on more of them in the future, but we'll leave that for a different day. I do think, though, again, for controlling aggro, it's very, very good. And then getting into the next command, we're on Siege Boy. Siege Boy is a another really good card to sort of help tempo you out, especially if you burst into this. This card can rest anything with HP 5 or less, sort of like Amuro, but it's live a turn earlier than Amuro. So it is able to rest down if you have something swinging into you. Usually, especially if your shields are exposed, people will swing into you with their little guys. You'll be able to respond with Siege Boy in the action step to rest down a bigger attacker later in the turn, so they no longer have access to that. I mean, this card can rest Kshatriyas, this card can rest Gundams, this card can rest Banshee modes. So this card is very strong because that Banshee mode will occur in the attack step, and after its effect resolves to restand, you can rest it in the action step with a Siege Point. So this card just has staying value across the game for me, and it helped me clutch up and stay alive in tons of matches. Just the 5 commands, but they are very important commands. And then finally for bases, I'm on 2 Vesalius and 2 Kariskevitz. Vesalius is just kind of there to help close out earlier earlier bases. You can bump up a gun tank and use it to trade. You can bump up a Zaku Mariner and use it to take an EX base. Just a generically kind of good card to help you close out or trade more effectively, so that way you're getting the most bang for buck out of your attacks. And then Korska base is just really good. Of course, with it, we are going to have our plethora of tokens here. First deploy, we are getting this wonderful 4/2 Tall Geese token, and second deploy, as long as we have one in the trash, we are getting our Leos. Sometimes, again, very fringely, you will see where you will shuffle in a Kurska base, and you will be able to gain access to the Leo again because of the Banshee mode. So it is something to sort of keep in mind. But yeah, that is the deck list. Now I kind of want to talk about what I think are very key points in the deck here, and what I think a lot of the time my early game hands look like. So in this deck, typically if I'm going, with pretty much any Gundam deck, you want to curve out. So you want to have at least hopefully a meaningful play every turn, be that deploying a body, be that taking care of something on board that the opponent has with something like a close combat or things like that. The very big things to note in this deck is you need to understand when you are strong and when you are vulnerable. Obviously, the turn you hit the Kshatriya link is very powerful, but you got to understand a lot of the Xeon cards are HP'd pretty low for good reason. They usually all have very good effects, but you can get swung back into on the back crack with a card like Kshatriya very easily. Again, Gundam will trade into it. We can look at some pretty low like vanilla links that will trade into it, like a vanilla Kshatriya and Marita will trade into it. So you do have to be mindful when you are playing out this card and understanding that if you are going to, it better be to pretty much pseudo board wipe, and if they're going to take care of it, they're going to need to play down a link right then and there to deal with you, or multiple cards like pings into Battle of Aces, things like that. So this card, very good, very potent, but again, understand its strengths and its weaknesses. It is a devastating on first turn. If it has staying power, you're looking good, but it is very easy for people to get rid of sooner than later, which is something I definitely want people to remember. Again, Gundam here, very valuable card. This guy is just really going to be capable of carrying you through that mid-game. With Amuro, this is a 6/5 card because of his passive buff when he is paired. So this is again another pair of cards that are really going to be able to help you sort of control that board state. Even if you're not going to use Amuro on a Gundam, you can, let's say your board is currently looking like a Razel, and you know that they just played out some aggro pieces that you're really not looking forward to dealing with on the following turn. And we just played Razel, so we're unresting at level 4. We're live with Amuro, so we can go ahead, put down Amuro, rest down an aggro piece, and if we have it, we can do things like double gun tank, or we can use this guy to swing into a bigger, potentially turn 3 LR link like a Char Zaku or a Char Zaku 2, the rare, and we can crash into it, make our, we would end up trading, but the nice thing about it is we would have him make the token, the rest of the token would come in, and then you can gun tank that, you can Angsha that, because we would still have Angsha resources as well. At this point in the turn, we've only played the one Amuro, so you are kind of left with options in play lines versus some of these other decks. Or again, you can just go for the straight up Gundam Amuro. I have a 6/5 on turn 4, and I'm going to be trading into pretty much anything I like. Oh, we're against aggro. I'm going to take out a GM or a Zaku, take my 2 damage, repair the 2 at the end of the turn, so that way you have to commit a full 5 power into me no matter what. So again, very potent, very relevant cards in this deck that really do help you control the board. Weaknesses of this deck, at times the blue-white blocker decks, if they are able to just vomit out a board, we have things like the Amuro in close combats and Siege Boys to try to help take care of it. But if you're staring down a Freedom Gundam, there isn't a ton you can do in this deck, beyond what I personally chose to throw in the form of the Sinanjus. Sinanju is at least a late game option that will help you maneuver around these late game big blockers like Freedom. He will help you get around Owl Strikes, because Owl Strike, even when this guy is linked, would technically trade into it for the HP stat line. But because we have high maneuver, we are looking at ways to just get around and potentially finish off onboard threats or onboard blockers that will then allow our little guys to get through and close out games and close out shields. So these are all things to definitely consider. I think the Newtype challenge is going to show us the power of quite a bit of decks moving forward throughout the meta. And as we get closer to GDO2 and then STO5 and STO6, I think we're going to be seeing some really cool stuff for Gundam. I hope you guys have been enjoying the game so far. And if you are competing, please tell me down below here what are you using in Newtype challenge? Again, got me 2nd place. This promo Soletta is gorgeous. Everybody will be getting the Overflowing Affection for entering. And my Winners Pack promo is actually in my list now because it is my plus promo Kshatriya. So I walked in for my 20 bucks of entry and I walked out with all these. I can't complain even a little bit. It's an amazing time. If you guys have not, I definitely recommend checking out Gundam if you're interested at all. I think the game has a lot of fun stuff to it right now. Art is beautiful, scratches all the itches of my TCG brain. But yeah, that is going to do it for our little deck profile, deck tech video here. If there's anything you guys have any questions about, definitely let me know. We're going to go ahead and put the list on screen here one more time just so you can kind of look at it in its totality. But yeah, again, if you're looking to top your Gundam local event, or your Gundam Newtype challenge events, excuse me, consider Red Blue Pink. This deck is sick, it's very fun, and I think it's going to have an interesting evolution as we move into new colors and new sets. So that is going to do it for me, guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, and as always, catch you in the next one.